And welcome back to another installment of my audio recording was being a little bitch, so now I have to do bloody after commentary, where I am currently looking over who has what diseases and trying to determine who I can cure next. Possibly for the cause of eating one or two of them. I haven't decided yet.
How are you, boy?
And if I remember right, we give this kid a fatigue cure. Because, yes, that is what he has. Fatigue. Which is something that we can cure at this moment in time. Unlike a lot of the things that some other people have, which we cannot in fact cure. Because they're all level 3 things, and we haven't unlocked that yet.
Let's hope nobody steals it from you.
Very funny.
Goodbye.
And then we're done with this kid, because there's not really a whole lot in the way of conversations to have with him. We've got 2 people recovering right now, and what looks like 2 more that we know about who have diseases. One has bronchitis, and one has a migraine. But our friend with bronchitis we can't actually cure, unlike the migraine, which is a level 3 disease. So we're going to need to unlock those medicines before we can cure him.
Good evening.
Hello, lady who is probably a charlatan, but we don't have anything to actually prove it. I'm here to buy some ingredients to be able to put together a couple more fatigue cures. Or maybe not. I'm apparently getting the times this stuff happened mixed up. Unsurprising, seeing as this recording was done more than a week ago. And I'm still doing the after commentary, just because there's so much of it. And I'm having to do the after commentary, and then do my audio stuff, and then edit it a little bit, and then encode it, and then have that video available for upload. I've not been able to do the entire thing at once, because the total length of this whole recording session ended up being about 3 hours, so not exactly the sort of thing that's conducive for a healthy situation of after commentary. And more to the point, I just do not like after commentary. I've never enjoyed having to re-record my commentary after the fact. I always feel like I'm doing worse at it than I would be if I'm doing it live. Just because I'm having to go off my memories of what was happening at that point, rather than the live recollections of what's happening at the time. I always feel like it's better if I'm live with my commentary. Post-commentary just annoys me, honestly. Especially when I'm the one who has to do the bloody post-commentary. It's a bit of a pain in the ass, quite frankly.
Right then. Show me what you have.
And I don't even remember if I buy anything from this guy. Apparently I don't. I think I might have been... Oh yeah, that's right, I remember now. I was looking in the inventories of the people selling things because I was under the impression that maybe the way that you got cures for the level 3 illnesses was that you had to buy blueprints or something resembling that. Which turned out to not be the case, as I'll discover after this session is done. Because to figure out where you got those level 3 blueprints, or level 3 cures rather, I had to cheat a little bit and Google it. But anyways, enough's enough, and we're just gonna progress the main quest now.
Just 1 minute, please. You again. Go away.
By chatting to Mr. Petrusco. So, Let's have a little man-to-man talk, shall we? Because there is an option, as you saw there is an option to mesmerize him and essentially use our vampiric mind control to be able to force him to let us in by dominating his mind. But we're not good enough at mesmerize yet to be able to do that.
And abandoned.
I'm nothing like you, Mr. Doctor.
Yes, you are. You too believe in providing medical
Which is a bit
care
unfortunate,
without
because it strikes me as the sort of thing that would be interesting to try out, and I've not yet been able to use that power. And I would like to use it at some point, but that point is not just yet, it seems.
Make me regret this, though.
But we are inside Mr. Petruska's house. And before I chat to anyone else, I'm just going around and looting, basically.
It's locked.
I thought about talking to him, but ended up deciding that I would wait on that until after we'd spoken to Nurse Crane. Which ended up being good and not good. It was good. It was good because we were able to find a reasonable resolution to the situation. But it was also not so good because we missed out on a hint. Of course, bearing that in mind, you have to consider that didn't really matter because we did not actually end up eating Nurse Crane. Spoilers. You may have guessed that from the kind of character I'm playing.
What do we have here?
But we've kind of walked in on a little crisis situation.
Complaints of dizziness, muscle aches,
So
and
let's
head
see
pain,
if we can do
diagnosed with
something
influenza.
about this.
Treatment?
Aspirin and salicin for the fever and discomfort, liquids for dehydration, but he's having trouble keeping even water down.
Okay. Anything else I need to know?
Anything else I should know?
He did lose consciousness this morning, but he's never had convulsions like these.
He's not convulsing, he's choking. He's not getting any air. Scalpel! Hand me that scalpel!
What can I do, Doctor?
Any anesthetics available? We could probably use
Dangerous to
those.
operate with these convulsions. Sedative, nurse. Do we have any anesthetics?
I'm sorry, Doctor, none at all.
Okay, apparently we're operating without them despite the danger.
I need to perform a tracheostomy. Short pipe. That rubber tube will do. We're going to cut a passage for air through the neck.
Yes, Doctor. He's breathing again, but he's coughing up blood.
Internal hemorrhaging. I need to make another incision into the chest cavity to drain the fluids from the lung. Prepare another tube.
A thoracostomy. Doctor, we've nothing to fight the infection. We need an aseptic environment.
Suggestions then? I'm open to hearing new ideas.
What do you suggest we do?
If you've got
I've no idea. I'm
anything
not
that
the
could
doctor.
help.
Time is of the essence. We need to perform a thoracic drain.
Yes, Doctor. He's still bleeding, Doctor. I'm losing his pulse.
God, I remember when I played this. This is not a fun situation to find yourself in. I'm not a medical professional and I can tell you that. Oh great. Vampire nonsense is now hitting us. Wonderful. Just the wrong time for it.
First, suture the artery. Find the wound. The source of the blood.
Needle and thread, Doctor.
Good. The stitches are holding. How's he doing?
We're losing him. We've lost his pulse. He's dying, Doctor.
What? I said this at the time, but I don't even fucking know what either of those mean. How am I supposed to make a decision between the two when they're both arbitrary medical nonsense that I have no way of knowing what they do? Game developers, that is the time for a pop-up telling me what each means. I mean, I don't even... What? What?
We've lost the pulse. He's gone, Doctor.
Nurse, we did everything we could.
Truly? Everything you could. Is that how you'll report this in your log? Is this how the war went? Piling up one poor
I imagine
corpse
that
beside the
is
next?
how it went,
It's
nurse.
not an influenza-induced seizure. I've never seen symptoms
I mean,
like these on the
you are
continent.
talking about a war where most of the deaths
Neither
were
have
just
I.
statistics
But
in a
previous symptoms leading up to
logbook
this attempt were the same,
to the people who
indistinguishable from
mattered
the epidemic.
in that regard, so that
There was
probably
something
is
more
how it
vile
went
in these
for
reactions,
us.
Something primitive.
There have been numerous reports of mental breakdowns caused by the fever that accompanies the flu itself, Doctor.
Yes, but I'd best take some
Disturbing.
samples of the blood for analysis.
So, some sort of mutation of the flu, maybe? I hope that's it, and not vampires using the flu to spread vampirism or something.
I doubt you're here to test my bedside manners.
Yes. Now, Nurse Crane. We have to address this blackmail problem, unfortunately.
It was more than intuition alone that led you to us. So, how might I be of service, Dr. Reid?
Yes, we're here to stop the blackmail. The other two would probably go into us criticizing the medical practice here, which we actually quite agree with. So we're going to go for the one that we actually are here for, stopping the blackmail.
I've come to put an end to this insufferable blackmailing, Dorothy.
Doctor, you think your warnings scare me? I've stolen and plied, blackmailed and lied, but what else am I to do? I'm all these people have.
You don't trust Dr. Swansea with this. Is that what you're saying? I mean,
Swansea is a
I'm sure he'd help
sensible,
if you
honest man.
asked.
He wouldn't have refused your friend's care at Pembroke.
It's easy for you to say, Doctor. These people cannot go to the police, nor to the hospital. They don't even speak English. They depend on me for everything.
She has a point. Most of who she's caring for are
why
refugees,
Lady
after
Ashbury?
all.
Why her, of all people?
She's pristine and
So
proper,
they're
all
not
right.
really in a
That she-wolf
position
in sheep's
to go to
clothing murders the
Pembroke,
poor
I
for
suppose.
sport. I have her where she belongs, and I'll milk her for all she's got.
Murders for sport. Yeah, interesting.
So, the end.
But you're saying the end justifies the means, are you? That's a
I know
slippery
you're kind,
slope,
Doctor.
nurse.
Just
A very
another fine-heeled,
slippery slope.
silver-spooned
You don't want to go
gentleman
down that
who was
route.
given the world on a platter. You know nothing of poverty, nothing of the shame, the hunger, the loneliness.
But yeah, there was something that we found way early on when we first got involved in this blackmail situation with Lady Ashbury. Some people suggesting she was actually murdering patients. And we never did get an answer if that's what was actually happening or not. But either way, we have to put an end to this blackmail. It has to stop.
You've convinced me of the sincerity of your actions and their noble justifications. But all the same, blackmail is a crime, and it will stop, Nurse Crane.
So, are you going to turn me over to the authorities?
Turn you over to the authorities? Oh, no. Not even a possibility. And this was the point at which I discovered that because I hadn't talked to Mr. Petruscu downstairs, we couldn't use the hint option. So we have two choices. We either look away from the situation, and in exchange she resigns from Pembroke, or we eat her. You can probably guess the one we went for. I decided to look away. Though, honestly, I would have liked if there was an option to not have to ask for her resignation. That we could just sort of
Here is my proposition.
set up an extension of Pembroke out here or something to that effect is what I would have liked, but that wasn't one of the options we got, unfortunately. I have to work with what there is.
To Reid, that sounds like a business proposition. My accomplice, then.
No, just privileged client. My research may require the occasional rare piece of equipment or ingredient. I'll pay good coin in exchange, fair and honest.
But in fact, in the end, I ended up rather liking this arrangement because, while it probably will hit the Pembroke area for a little bit until we can fix it up a little, since she won't be working there anymore,
We have a deal.
Nurse Crane can do a lot more good out here helping the refugees than she would be able to in the Pembroke place. And that also levels up our Mesmerize ability to level 2. So we'll see if that causes any interesting effects or not. But we'll have to wait to find anything out. But as you can see, Nurse Crane is removed from the Pembroke area entirely as a result of that. And we can loot some shit.
This one stinks already.
And, of bloody course, the goddamn Pridwin vampire hunters have decided to pay us a visit over here in the hospital. Apparently, they'll even attack hospitals. These people are bastards. Now you see why I said they piss me off even more than the Dawn Guard. Or, when I say the Dawn Guard, I'm mostly referring to Isran, by the way. They pissed me off more than the Dawn Guard and fucking Ulfric Stormcloak. These guys are absolute bastards, and I am not happy about their continuing presence, unfortunately. But we managed to successfully slip around the remainder of their group
Come on in.
and get back into this area once again. Now that the situation with Nurse Crane is resolved, we can have a little word with Mr. Petruscu and cure his bronchitis.
We've not been formally introduced. May I ask your name and occupation, sir?
I am Darius
Among
Petrescu.
other things,
I'm here
of
to
course,
keep snitches and
including
spies
probably a
away
little
from
discussion
Dorothea.
about his political
And I
activities in
also run
Romania,
this little print shop.
just because it's interesting. But yes.
Do you need
We have
some
plenty
help?
of questions to ask,
I'm very
but I
tired,
think you
but
need
that is
medical
all.
help
I
first.
don't need you, Doctor.
And indeed you do need our help, despite what you're saying.
Well, I think you do. Take this, and you'll feel better.
Free drugs from an English doctor.
Apparently, free drugs to migrants was not a thing in 20th century England. Wonders never cease. But your flyer distributor girl, Camilla, would you mind telling me a little bit about her? I met her a few times out in the streets, and I'm rather intrigued.
Is an angel. She volunteered to give out our medical leaflets.
Are you not worried for her safety?
She is as brave as she is tough, and clever too. If only I had met her when I was younger.
Are you in love with Camilla?
Oh,
Don't be stupid.
so
If I had
you have a
met her
little
when I
bit
was
of a
younger,
crush
we could have
on
won our
Camilla,
revolution.
do you? Just with the caveat that you're not going to pursue anything because you're so much older than her. Interesting. But who exactly is she? No one seems to really know.
Who is she?
Beyond her being a mute florist,
Do
I
you know
mean.
where she's from?
She's not from around here, that's all we know. Camellia is not even her name.
Not exactly inclined to share her history then.
Family.
Well, there's
Who knows?
an awful
Maybe she's from
boy
Russia.
who constantly follows her around like a lost puppy. A good man for sure, but a very poor writer.
A very poor writer, you say. So that's the reason why this guy didn't want to publish the poet's work. Just because he's a shitty poet. No conspiracy theory or anything. Just shit at being a poet. Interesting indeed. But how did you and Nurse Crane meet? An English doctor and a former Romanian political activist turned refugee seems like an odd pair to be running a hospital.
Why does she trust you?
I'm her oldest friend in England. Dorothea and I share many ideas about this country and about the country we left.
You mean occupied Romania, don't you? Even if not directly, I fought against your enemies.
Really? Then perhaps you have more in common with Dorothea than meets the eye, Dr. Reid.
Huh. That's right. We did kind of indirectly fight against his. Well, while we're on the subject, maybe tell me a little about your political past and any family you have left. I didn't exactly remember which order I said those in, so I just kind of meshed them
I
together.
have abandoned my people for so long, they might as well be dead. As dead as I am for them, I suppose.
Time to share a little personal information, I think. My father... they left us
Don't be
too.
embarrassed, sir. If you must know, my own father disappeared many years ago.
I think Dr. Reid kind of likes this guy, so we are trying to help him out a little by sharing what personal information there is to talk about with Dr. Reid. And not really much else to chat about at the moment.
I know you fought for your country
But
when it was occupied.
We are going to ask about his political past. Apparently I did actually have that conversation. It's been long enough that I didn't actually
I fought for
remember.
Romania all my life, and I will until my last breath.
But Romania escaped the grasp of the Austro-Hungarian Empire. It's a free country again.
But it's
And
not the
apparently
country I
this
fought for.
guy
My whole
doesn't
land is
exactly
not a
agree with
beast
our
to
assessment
conquer.
of free
I still
country.
see a dark future
I
ahead
see a
for my
dark
people.
future ahead, he says. Rather interesting that he would say that. Kind of ironic. This guy should team up with...
Goodbye, Mr. Petrescu.
This guy should team up with certain other historical figures, including Otto von Bismarck and others, in being responsible for successfully predicting the future, because somehow they do that shit. But yeah. Scarily accurate how these things turn out to be, isn't it? I see a dark future ahead. This game takes place in like 1918, 1920 something, I think, and we all know what Romania ends up doing in World War II. Hey Hitler, come on in, have our oil fields, and all that jazz. But now, I think we are done in Whitechapel. And in fact, I believe it's high time we head back home to Pembroke Hospital. Well, I say home, but it's really just the closest thing to a home that Dr. Reid has right now. So that's going to be our next port of call.
Whoever left these marks did so.
And apparently someone has deliberately left blood around here. Intriguing. Very much so. And rather a lot of it. But at this point, what did I do? That's right, me being an idiot completely ignored the blood being deliberately left there and bumbled my way into a 2-on-1 boss fight, with them being the 2 and me being the 1, against a couple of Pridwin guards who decided to set up a Kill the Vampire game. Great. Just what we need. Well, 2-on-1 and occasionally 200,000 on 1, because they like to summon minions as well. But for the most part, we're going up against 2 main people. There is the one big guy who can take a lot of punishment, and the smaller guy with fire and burn the vampires grenades. And we have to kill both of them to win the fight. And I tried dodging around a bunch, and just avoiding combat in general in this battle, but it doesn't go too well for me. And I use up a lot of my blood supply in this fight on a few occasions. As you can probably guess, this is not going to be one of those boss fights that I managed to win in a single attempt. It takes me several tries to bring the bastards down, unfortunately, but lucky for me, I have nothing, if not patience, with the enemies in this game, so having to bring them down in multiple battles is not too much of a bother to me. What is too much of a bother to me is the fact that I nearly managed to get myself cornered there, which would most certainly result in a painful death. Because being cornered by vampire hunters means we have a lot less space to dodge,